Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has vowed not to let in what he described as fake humanitarian aid from the United States. Mr. Maduro alleged the aid being stockpiled just across the border in Colombia was part of a plan to remove him from power. Stephen Grattan is a correspondent for Reuters based in Bogota, the capital of Colombia. He's on the border in the city of, is it Susuta, alongside the aid? Is it Susuta? How do you pronounce that, Stephen?
Hi, Jotun. It's called Cucuta. Yeah.
Oh, Cucuta. What's it like there at the border? What can you see?
So Cucuta is the main point of exodus for the Venezuelans. It's the main point of entry between Venezuela and Colombia. You've got the main border bridge, which is called the Simón Bolívar border bridge. You've got about 40,000 Venezuelans passing over each day into Colombia who come to buy basic food and supplies that they can't get in their own country because of the economic downfall that's happened there. They can't get things like flour, rice, the basic foods, and medicine. That's another big problem is medicine. Basic things like paracetamol, people come over to buy on a daily basis. And there's, according to the UN, about 5,000 of those 40,000 people are staying in Colombia each day. So there's been 3 million people have left since 2015.
So it's essentially one-way traffic.
Say that again, please.
This border post sees essentially one-way traffic from Venezuela to Colombia. Nobody's going the other way.
Well, as I said before, people do come just for the day to get basic needs, and then they will go back. But about 5,000 of those will stay in the country.
Is there any?
They will go to places like Peru and Ecuador and Brazil. Those countries have had also Colombia have had a big influx in migrants and are struggling to deal with that also.
On this road, is there any sign of the American aid that the Venezuelans are refusing to allow into their country?
So today we had a press conference with US Aid. It was a massive turnout of journalists there. We were shown the aid that had arrived yesterday. There was about 9 trucks of US aid that had arrived to Cucuta. Basic things like flour, lentils, rice, cooking oil, and also hygiene items like toothbrushes and soap. So those are things that are being bagged up. But the question is whether this stuff is going to actually be able to get into Venezuela because of President Maduro. He has decided that he has denied for a long time now that there's no humanitarian crisis happening whatsoever in his country. And that the Colombians should keep this aid because they don't need it. So what's happened 2 days ago, was that they blocked this bridge, which is not the footbridge I previously mentioned. It's called the Tienditas Bridge. This bridge is where the aid was supposed to cross through. It's a road bridge for vehicles, but it has been blocked off with tankers, with empty oil tankers and with food, kind of like freight crates to stop vehicles passing by the military. So basically, as journalists, we're waiting to find out what's going to happen. The US Embassy, the government in Colombia aren't really telling us anything. So we're basically waiting here to find out what's going to happen over the next couple of days because things could get tense.
To be fair to President Maduro, though, he's not necessarily saying that in this latest statement, he's not saying that they don't need the aid. He's saying that this aid is part of a US plot to topple him. And you can see where he's coming from with that, with the kind of comments that have been coming from the United States in support of the would-be president, Mr. Guaido, over the last week or two, indeed. In fact, over the last few weeks. You can see why he is somewhat sceptical of this aid. Do you get a sense where you are of this aid being used as a political football in one way or another? Is this propaganda from the United States?
There always is that question, of course, but as a correspondent here on the border, I'm seeing these people crossing over every day with these stories of, they can't get, their children are dying or suffering because of not having enough food, malnutrition. I visited a hospital 2 days ago. There was a lady there who had given birth to a baby that was on the verge of death because because of her diet while she was pregnant in the country. I think there's a lot of strong evidence to suggest that the aid is needed, and I really, I don't think it is so much a propaganda on part of the US. I think it is
the Venezuelans. Sorry, the Venezuelan. I'm sorry to cut you. I do apologise, Stephen. I thought you'd come to an end with that sentence. The Venezuelan authorities, though, are not stopping people from leaving the country, are they? They're not stopping what we might regard as refugees from leaving the country. They're just stopping this convoy of American aid from going in.
Yeah, that's true. They're not stopping people from leaving or going. But, a lot of people who live in the interior of the country, inside the country, they obviously aren't going to have a lot of possibilities to get out of the country. It's not as easy for some people because it's a huge country, and a lot of the people who do come across in Colombia live closer or have access by bus to the border. So the situation for many Venezuelans is a lot different than the ones that can get over to Colombia.
What role is Colombia itself playing in this impasse, if you like? Is it taking sides? Is there pressure from the Colombians on Mr. Maduro, or what?
Very much so, yeah. They've recognized Guaido as the legitimate president of the country, and they are fully supporting the US decision to send aid. They have facilitated aid within Colombia. So yeah, they've definitely taken the side of the US on this.
Could this border post, could it turn into a hostile place to be? Could we witness clashes there, do you think? Will there be...
That is one of the big questions that all the journalists here are asking. We are speculating a lot. We can't say if it will happen or not. It depends what happens the next couple of days. There's been a lot of persuading. For example, today at this press conference, they had one of the Venezuelan political opponents there. He was representing Guaido. He said, he gave a message to the military of Venezuela asking them, to let the aid through. He said that this aid is for your kids, it's for your families. And on the other side, you've got Maduro in Venezuela trying to persuade them to stick with him, and it could get tense, it could get hostile, but that is complete speculation.
For now, thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate you talking to us. Stephen Grattan, there, Reuters correspondent in Bogota.